In the common view, being tough means showing confidence, enduring pain without complaint, and disregarding emotions. You might have tried these methods yourself, and you might have discovered they didn't work. Maybe you've shown false confidence but failed to achieve results. Maybe you've endured physical pain only to find that the more you ignored it, the worse it got. Maybe you've suppressed emotions until they erupted dramatically. Let's clarify something. If this sounds familiar, the issue isn't that you lack toughness. The real problem lies in society's harmful definition of toughness. In this video, we'll introduce a new concept of toughness based on science and psychology. Additionally, we'll provide strategies to help you develop this toughness. In this book summary, you'll discover what interoception is and why it matters, why top meditators handle pain better, and how the worst trauma can lead to significant growth. Lesson number 1. Toughness isn't about projecting confidence. It's about uncovering authenticity. When you think of tough, who comes to mind? Many imagine a John Wayne type, someone who silently suffers, stoically ignores pain, and never talks about their feelings. But this image of toughness is flawed. Science and psychology show that such behaviors are counterproductive to building lasting resilience. It's time to redefine toughness. 4 key behaviors form the foundation of true resilience. Each chapter will guide you through one. Let's begin with the first. Toughness isn't about projecting confidence. It's about uncovering authenticity. In other words, to be tough, you need to ditch the facade. Old-school toughness focuses on creating a facade, projecting an image of toughness that overstates endurance and capabilities. The problem? It's demotivating when our expectations don't align with reality. So if you've claimed that learning Icelandic will take you 6 months, but after 6 months you're still struggling with basic grammar, you're likely to give up. And giving up isn't tough, is it? True resilience depends on being real with yourself. It might not feel tough to admit that it will take years to learn a new language, but when your expectations match reality, you're more likely to succeed. Being honest with yourself allows you to pursue your goals relentlessly, improving endurance and performance over time. Need more convincing? A study of elementary students found that overconfident readers often chose books beyond their comprehension. Imagine a 3rd grader attempting to read all 607 pages of the final Harry Potter book. Unsurprisingly, they typically abandoned it after a few paragraphs. Worse, they were unlikely to pick up another book afterward. But realistic readers steadily improved over time. So, how can you ditch the facade and get real? Here are some strategies. Set authentic goals. When focused on image, you set goals to impress others, like running a marathon or marrying the most attractive partner. But if these superficial goals don't resonate with your true desires, you're unlikely to achieve them. Projecting a facade of confidence often means ignoring feelings of doubt or insecurity. Don't fall into this trap. Listen to those insecurities. Doubts are often the brain's way of signaling that our expectations are too high. Listening to doubt allows us to reassess, recalibrate, and set ourselves up for long-term success. You can cultivate true confidence, not just a facade, with a technique called raising the floor. If you set an unrealistic goal, like doing 100 push-ups a day when you're not in shape, and you fail, you have to lower the bar. Lower the bar too many times, and you might give up on push-ups altogether. Raising the floor, however, means setting a manageable target, perhaps even an easy one. You'll soon find yourself exceeding your own expectations. Lesson number 2. Your body is smart. Listen to it. According to the old school definition, it's considered tough to ignore your feelings and emotions. However, ignoring your feelings means missing out on a significant opportunity to build resilience. Think of emotions as the brain's first line of defense. They're signaling that something is up. The better you can sit with and listen to your emotions, the tougher you'll become. Consider situations that require toughness. handling an unexpected diagnosis, suffering a traumatic injury, enduring a financial crisis, dealing with a relationship breakdown, or facing professional disappointment. Each of these scenarios brings a mix of feelings and emotions. The better you can identify and interpret these emotions, the more likely you are to cope with the challenges you face. Ever heard of interoception? It's your ability to identify and interpret emotions. High levels of interoception correlate with toughness. Elite athletes and professionals in high-stakes fields like the stock market often have finely tuned interoception. A study by UK psychologists found that stockbrokers with higher interoception performed more profitably and had more longevity than their less touchy-feely colleagues in a field with high burnout levels. Why does interoception give professionals an edge in tough fields? Being able to engage with and identify your emotions helps you control and even change them. For example, if you experience sweaty palms and attribute that sensation to anxiety, you heighten your anxiety. But if you attribute it to excitement, you can transform anxiety into a positive emotion. Pretty neat, right? Let's also discuss the voice in your head, the one that says you're not good enough, or you should have one last drink, or it's raining so you should skip your jog. Should you listen to that voice? Yes, with one caveat. But first, here's a seemingly unrelated story. In 1982, a yacht on a round-the-world trip collided with a whale and sank. The captain and one crewman made it to the life raft, but their distress calls went unanswered. They were in the middle of the Atlantic, with limited water. Their survival depended on rationing water despite extreme thirst. Every day, the crewman, Stephen Callahan, begged the captain for more water. Every day, the captain refused. Thanks to the captain, Stephen survived. The captain also survived because he was Stephen Callahan. Stephen was parched and desperate. When he tuned into his inner monologue, he heard one voice tempting him to drink more water. He knew he wouldn't survive if he gave in, but ignoring it would only make it louder. So he assigned roles to different aspects of his inner voice. The desperate crew member vented frustration, but the stoic captain, Stephen's rational voice, prevailed. So what's the caveat? You should listen to your inner voices. Don't ignore the negative or destructive voices in your head, as that will only make them louder. But don't stop there. Listen to the voices offering good advice and support. They're there, if you let yourself hear them. Once you're tuned into your voices and listening to what they're saying, you can ensure the right voice speaks at the right time. Lesson number 3. Learn to respond instead of simply reacting. During an experiment conducted by the University of Wisconsin, 2 groups of individuals were exposed to a heated probe placed on the sensitive skin below their wrists. While this might seem extreme, it was done for scientific purposes to study pain perception. One group was chosen randomly, while the other group consisted of experienced meditators. Both groups rated the pain intensity similarly, but the meditators found the experience to be about 3 times less unpleasant compared to the non-meditators. Why is that? Meditation, with its emphasis on non-judgment and present-moment awareness, helps create a gap between a stimulus, like a hot probe, and our reaction to it. The random group felt a triple layer of discomfort. They not only sensed the pain from the probe, but also the anxiety of anticipating it and the immediate negative emotional response. On the other hand, the meditators felt the pain, but were able to slow down, stay calm, and prevent automatic reactions. Essentially, they felt the sensation but avoided the panic. How can you develop this level of resilience? Research shows that even just 4 days of mindfulness training can significantly improve how you handle negative stimuli. A simpler solution? Stop forcing yourself through pain. Ironically, this can have a compounding effect. If you've ever been told to calm down when you're extremely angry, you know how unhelpful and even maddening that advice can be. Yet, we often do this to ourselves when in pain. Consider a marathon runner with burning hamstrings. They might be having an anxious internal dialogue. "Oh no, this hurts. This is unbearable. Ignore it. Just push through." But it hurts so much. This doesn't create much space between the stimulus and the reaction. A calm internal conversation, however, allows for a more thoughtful response. It might go like this: "Oh no, this hurts. That's okay. That's normal. Stay relaxed. Keep breathing. You can do this." This approach works just as well for emotional pain. From heated arguments with a partner to road rage, the more space you can create between stimulus and reaction, the more calmly and effectively you can handle the situation. Here are the key components for calm internal dialogues. Acknowledge the sensation that's triggering you. Don't ignore it. Your brain will just signal more intensely until you can't overlook it. Understand your thought patterns. Where do your thoughts go in response to a stimulus? Can you identify a pattern? Why do your thoughts always head in this direction? Admit when you feel like giving up or exploding. Try to use self-talk to move past that urge. This is a high-level mental skill, and you won't always get it right. But the more space you create between feeling and emotion and giving into the urge to react, the more likely you are to manage challenging situations successfully. Lesson number 4. The secret ingredient to real resilience is drive. What sets world champions apart from other elite athletes? What unique quality enables one brilliant, innovative thinker to start a company or invent a groundbreaking product, while their equally talented peer makes little impact? How do some people push themselves harder, longer, and achieve excellence beyond the norm? Drive. Even when you feel utterly exhausted and on the verge of collapse, you can continue. Your brain is programmed to keep you alive and healthy. It won't allow you to keep going until you have absolutely nothing left to give. But some individuals can deplete their energy reserves much further than others, nearly to the point of exhaustion. The key factors are a strong sense of motivation and drive. Before delving into drive, let's take a moment to discuss motivation. Edward Deci, a psychology professor, conducted an experiment where two groups were given blocks and asked to recreate a complex structure. Group A had no incentive, but found intrinsic motivation in completing the task well. Group B received an extrinsic motivation, a financial reward for each construction. Initially, Group B was more motivated. However, once the financial reward was removed, their motivation significantly dropped. Some individuals even stopped building entirely. The takeaway is that intrinsic motivation is more important and sustainable than extrinsic motivation. External rewards can change or vanish at any time. Intrinsic motivation remains constant. To succeed, tap into intrinsic motivation. If you can't find it, reconsider if you're pursuing the right goals. People with exceptional drive have all found an intrinsic motivation to keep pursuing their goals. This unchanging purpose, linked to spirituality, intellect, community, or mission, enables them to dig deep. Purpose can help us overcome severe trauma. Sometimes it is within severe trauma that we discover our purpose. You may have heard of post-traumatic stress. Less known is post-traumatic growth. Those who experience post-traumatic growth find renewed purpose and a greater appreciation of life after severe trauma. A study of Vietnam War POWs assessed their response to trauma. Surprisingly, those who were in captivity the longest experienced the most growth. Their trauma was so profound that it shattered their worldview and assumptions, revealing a path to a new sense of purpose that allowed them to persist and survive. This is true toughness. Let's move away from toxic toughness that demands silent suffering, repressing feelings, and pushing through pain. True toughness and profound resilience come from listening to your body, acknowledging your emotions, responding thoughtfully to challenges, and finding the intrinsic drive to dig deep, even in your darkest moments. The most important thing to take away from all this is, acting tough and being tough are two different things. Moving away from flawed notions of toughness and instead listening to your body, your emotions, and your inner voice will allow you to develop the lasting resilience to overcome even the most daunting challenges. The most important thing to take away from all this is, acting tough and being tough are two different things. Moving away from flawed notions of toughness and instead listening to your body, your emotions, and your inner voice will allow you to develop the lasting resilience to overcome even the most daunting challenges.